Welcome to Core Cutting This Week, the podcast, episode number 12, recorded July 25th, 2019. This is the podcast where Jess and I break down some of the biggest stories happening in the world of core cutting right now. And this week, we're live on YouTube doing it. So we're going to kind of test out something new here. Try out having us live on YouTube so you can ask your core cutting related questions about the stories. Maybe we can interact a little bit. So this week, it's at noon Eastern on Thursday, and if it keeps going well, we'll keep doing it on noon on Thursday. So thanks for everybody coming, joining us, and if you're watching this on recording, we also will have in the show notes down below links to the MP3 if you would rather just download the MP3 or subscribe to us on a podcast app. How you doing this week, Jess?
I'm good. This is a new thing going live. I'm not sure yet. How are you doing?
Pretty good. It's kind of one of those things that it'll take a little practice, but I think we'll figure this out. But there's been a lot of news in core cutting. It's been kind of a crazy, to say the least, crazy week, especially this week. Last week we had Prime Day. I think everybody kind of avoided Prime Day, so they dumped all the news this week. Plus we had the earnings call, so let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Right now, we've learned in the last about 24 hours that Comcast and AT&T have lost over 1 million subscribers. AT&T reported yesterday that they lost 778,000 TV subscribers, and Comcast lost over 200,000 and change TV customers. Now, these are just TV customers, not counting internet or any other similar service, but it really gives an indication at the growth of core cutting. When you combine these, just Comcast and just AT&T are losing 11,000 subscribers every single day. That's a huge jump from where it was this time last year. And if this continues, Comcast and AT&T are going to lose 4 million subscribers over the next year. That's pretty massively damning.
That's huge.
If nothing else, this is evidence that core cutting is real, right? If we remember back to when DirecTV Now and YouTube TV raised their price to both be $50 at the starting point. All the news stories were like, "Hey, cord cutting's done. Go back, get cable. You'll save money." Well, obviously not, because those both price hikes happened at the start of the second quarter, and during that second quarter, just in these two companies, over 1 million people canceled. We're on track to have a record high number of new cord cutters. So it seems like cord cutting is doing pretty well, Jess.
Yeah, definitely. I was shocked to see those numbers. I think that we all kind of knew that the numbers were dropping, but whenever you wrote in that one blog post that just AT&T alone was over 6,000 a day, that's such a massive number.
Yeah, you have to wonder, for all the cool and calmness that Comcast and AT&T has, like, hey, this isn't no big deal, whatever, we got this, we have a plan here. You have to be thinking like, hey, do we really have this? In that boardroom, are they really as confident as they appear when they talk in public? You have to think there has to be some nervousness here. AT&T has decided, hey, our core cutting strategy with DirecTV Now and AT&T Watch TV, that's not going so well. So let's throw that all out the window. Let's launch HBO Max and let's launch AT&T TV, and let's see if this will stick to the wall.
Yeah, definitely. And that was going to be my question to you. Do we think that that's why they're going so full force, sending out so many messages about HBO Max, about this new AT&T TV situation, just because these numbers are falling so quickly and they're kind of scrambling to get all this stuff out?
Yeah, AT&T is probably a lot more vulnerable in this market than Comcast is, because AT&T just spent all that money to buy Time Warner and DirecTV. So they're really invested in the idea that TV is their future. Where Comcast could say, hey, we got our new phone department, we're moving to phone, home security, we even have a streaming option that we're dabbling with a little bit. Comcast is like, hey, we get it. Internet's kind of our big thing now. Home security, home phone, TV's there. That's great. Kind of like Dish. Dish has kind of come out and said, hey, TV's a major part of what we're doing. We're not walking away from TV. But, we're getting a 5G home internet. We're doing this. We're doing that. We're buying part of T-Mobile, getting Boost Mobile to become the fourth largest phone company. Now we'll come to your home and install antennas. We'll do this. We'll do that. So AT&T, though, they really staked a lot of their growth on DirecTV and Warner, and to see 700,000 people cancel it, even though they say that's what they want, that has to be scary.
Yeah, it makes you think that, I mean, obviously they made that statement about wanting only the quality customers on purpose, knowing that this was going to happen. So they kind of set themselves up to be able to come back from this or respond to the story, I guess. But still, that is just a wild number of people.
I think there is truth that AT&T is deliberately trying to push these people out. They were very clear. We're ending promo rates. They said it during the earnings call, like, hey, a bunch of DirecTV people's promo rates are ending in November, and we're not renewing them. So they were throwing out the red flags that we expect losses to continue for the next year. And that they, the quote, the people who would be left would be perfect for HBO Max. So they've kind of said, hey, in the same way Sling TV said, we want to be the service for people who have an antenna. AT&T is kind of saying, hey, we want to be the service for the people who want a premium experience. My only problem with that is DirecTV or is this AT&T TV going to be a more premium experience than Spectrum or Comcast? That's going to be the issue. Can they offer a better premium experience if that's what they want?
Right. And we'll talk about that new streaming service next. But I think that's a really good point. They haven't really given a lot of details about what that's going to look like, so it's hard to say.
One note here I wanted to throw in. Comcast did see a 209,000 subscriber jump. Now, they still have fewer subscribers overall when you look at just internet and TV. But they are definitely seem to be the winner when it comes to people saying, hey, I'm dropping DirecTV. I'm going to go get Comcast internet instead of AT&T or CenturyLink. Mm-hmm. My question is, that's good now. We talked about this earlier about how a lot of cable executives are like, well, we got the internet. They're not going to leave us because we have internet. But what happens when SpaceX launches? What happens when 5G finally completes its real rollout, etc.? They could really find themselves in a position where it's like, hey, you know what? You're not the only game in town for internet anymore. Now they have to compete on internet. I think that'll be very interesting to see what happens in 2 years, 3 years from now.
Agreed. I think people are really excited about some of these new internet options. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens there.
So one last story, and then we'll get into the AT&T one. This has to put the lie, really, to this idea that I get these emails all the time. We get them almost daily, honestly, that, hey, I'm going back to cable because it's just cheaper. Cable is cheaper. And I get emails, too, from a lot of these people a little later, like, I've made a serious mistake. That bill I thought I was paying, I'm not paying this or that. But, the American people are not stupid. Cord cutting has no contracts. If cable is really cheaper now that DirecTV Now, YouTube TV raised their price, why is AT&T and Comcast losing over 1 million subscribers? I just don't. I think this has to put the nail in this idea that cord cutting's more expensive, cable's cheaper. If it really was, people wouldn't be rushing to cord cutting.
Agreed.
So, all right. Let me know what you think. If you're watching us, leave us a comment. How much are you saving with cord cutting? I'll love to hear from you. But Jess,
we're reading the chat. We're reading the chat while we talk. So if you want to send any comments, we will read them out loud.
Definitely. And we're trying out something new. I see a lot of people joined us on the YouTube Live. We're trying out recording the podcast live this week. So feel free to join in with your comments. All right, Jess, why don't you take the next story?
So let's talk about how yesterday AT&T had this Q2 phone call that you mentioned, and they confirmed that the new live TV streaming service called, wait for it, AT&T TV will launch this year. Once again, absolutely hate the name. So difficult to say. How many T's can you put in a row? But whatever. So this is sort of a continuation of a story that we talked about last week, whenever we talked about customers going to AT&T stores, buying this streaming player, bringing it home, setting it up themselves, and then having access to this streaming service. So now we have some more details about this. We know that AT&T TV will be the streaming-only version of DirecTV. And we know that the major difference between the two is that you'll have to use this streaming player from AT&T, which will be running Android TV, to watch your content. So it might be a little annoying for some people to have to go in person to the store, pick up this thing, bring it home, set it up, but that's the situation for now. Um, so AT&T TV is going to start launching this quarter, and they're going to continue through the rest of 2019, excuse me. The thing is that right now we don't know anything about how much this is going to cost. We don't know what channels are going to be on there. We just don't have a ton of information. We know that it's launching soon, but they've been kind of secretive almost about the details of what this will look like. Excuse me, sorry, hiccuped.
Yeah, it's very, for one, this confirms pretty much everything we reported earlier this month. The sources that reported to be AT&T employees seem to have been. They said in the third quarter they're going to start rolling this out, with it being nationwide by the end of the year, which perfectly lines up with the report that starting in August they'll have a few test markets and then bring more and more markets online. The thing that a couple things that were interesting that were completely omitted, once again, they talked about this being a thin client and the fact that you would go into the stores, buy the box, take it home, set up yourself, which is exactly what the online stories talked about. A few things omitted. How much is this box going to be? They seem to want to sell it to you, so you got to buy the box. The tough thing with the box is right now it's the beta box for DirecTV Now. If you buy that and you don't use it, and you stop paying for DirecTV Now, that box becomes bricked. It doesn't work. So I wonder how many people are going to want to buy this, knowing that, hey, I'm going to buy this box. If I ever stop using AT&T TV, it's not going to work for me. I think that's something that AT&T is going to have to address. That's something that they're going to have to, quell fears about. I can understand not announcing the price. I can understand not announcing the channel app. But people are going to be seriously concerned about the idea of buying a device if it only works for one service.
Absolutely. And I think that's the appeal of using the Fire TV, of using a Roku, where you can use pretty much anything with it. And even whenever, YouTube TV is not on Amazon Fire TV devices yet, people are really unhappy with people going and buying a device that works with one streaming service. Like you said, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting combination in the future of how is AT&T going to line up all these services. Two things not talked about at all, other than the fact that DirecTV Now lost subscribers, no plans for the future of DirecTV Now. There was no hey, we're going to do this with DirecTV Now, we're going to do that with DirecTV Now. And the service that got absolutely no mention at all, not even just a line about its subscriber numbers, AT&T Watch TV. Nothing. No comment on that whatsoever. They were very clear that they're going to be pouring a lot of effort into AT&T TV. That is their main focus now, is what they said during the call, which once again supports what we've been hearing from AT&T's CEOs and presidents, that, hey, DirecTV Now, not a main focus anymore. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. What do you think? What if you had to put your money on it? What does AT&T's lineup of streaming services look like a year from now?
It's hard to say. I'm having a really hard time with AT&T right now because it feels like I said before, they're kind of scrambling to stay in the game, to recoup their money, to keep subscribers coming in. And instead of focusing on just one product, they're just kind of casting a wide net and hoping that something works out. So it's hard to say what's going to stick and what isn't. I think that if they mean what they say about focusing on this AT&T TV streaming service, it could do well, but I really feel like having to buy that box is going to slow them down. I just don't think that people are going to be interested in it. And then if they're getting rid of DirecTV Now, if they are investing in these other streaming services, it's just really hard to say. And to me, it seems like they're just hoping that one of them sticks. So then the question is, which one is it?
Yeah, it definitely seems like AT&T is just said, throw it against the wall. What sticks, we'll run with it. If it doesn't stick,
exactly.
we'll go from there. But I can definitely see a world where DirecTV Now, as CNBC reported, gets merged in with HBO Max. DirecTV subscribers are pushed towards AT&T TV. What about Watch TV? Does that have a future? I don't know. I mean, one of the things that was reported, we'll kind of talk about HBO Max more in a minute, but they reported that HBO Max will have a partnership with the wireless. You can get kind of a bundle deal with wireless, and that's been kind of the big selling point of AT&T Watch TV. The Roku app never appeared that was promoted. And now we're coming up on, what, 6 months without AT&T doing any promotion of Watch TV, really? So, or nothing really new coming to it. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. I am suspicious about the lack of any mention of Watch TV right now.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're just hoping it'll sort of go away on its own and they won't have to deal with it as much and they'll just slowly get rid of it.
Yeah, I don't know if sometimes I really wonder if AT&T knows what they're going to do. I mean, I don't understand. If you have DirecTV now, I don't understand launching AT&T TV. I don't understand why not rebrand DirecTV Now. That I don't understand why launch a completely third service that will use the DirecTV Now app separately. You know, yeah, some people point out, hey, they may be adding in the ability to have subscriptions. So you have to subscribe for 12 months. But to me, that they could do that with DirecTV Now. They could have like, hey, pay this price for these channels with no contract, or with a contract, pay this. We see that all the time. Comcast does that with their internet. I think Verizon Fios does that too. So there's a lot of there's really no reason to do this other than that they've just decided that they didn't like what DirecTV Now was becoming.
Yeah, so, I agree. It's going to be very interesting to watch AT&T and how they maneuver with all of these different streaming services all at once.
Definitely. Well, let's keep moving because the next story is kind of related to all this, and I think it's perfect kind of jump into it right now. But AT&T has confirmed that HBO Max will include live TV and live sports, not just on-demand content. This does seem to line up very well with what's been reported before, but during the call, AT&T CEO promoted the fact that live news, live sports will be some of the main live events, but hinted that other live events or live programming will eventually be added to HBO Max. He even touted the idea of exclusive live sporting events, likely through the BR Live partnership, where BR Live is their sports streaming service, will be coming. So this seems to line up very well with what has been reported. CNBC reported earlier this year when they interviewed the CEO of AT&T that eventually DirecTV Now would be merged into HBO Max. Now, AT&T again pushed the idea that this may not necessarily happen at launch, that at launch HBO Max would not necessarily have live events and live sporting and live TV. But they did push the idea that eventually they're looking at doing that, which seems to line up with what AT&T has promoted. Now, I still kind of think this sounds a lot like HBO, or excuse me, Hulu, where they would have the HBO content and the on-demand content at the $16, $17 price point. And then at a higher price point later, they may add a live TV package. But we're still in the dark. They were kind of reticent to really go into detail on what the live TV play would be. They did announce that in October they're going to have a big press event, so we'll probably learn more at that time. For now, it seems that they're really promoting the idea that they want to build the on-demand version and then bring in live TV later. I don't know, Jess, what do you think of HBO Max? HBO Max with live TV? Let me know.
I like the idea of HBO Max more and more the more I hear about it. And I'm working on a story right now about some of the things that we've been hearing about HBO Max. And yeah, the more details I get, the more I like it. I think that anytime a streaming service adds live TV, as long as the price isn't prohibitive, I think that it's a good step because I think that's something that cord cutters are really looking for. And we get questions all the time about these new streaming services and whether they're going to have live TV as an option. So I think that's really something that our readers especially, and just cord cutters in general, are looking for out of a new streaming service. So I think it was a great move.
Yeah, I mean, HBO Max is not a bad idea. Of everything AT&T is doing, HBO Max seems to be the most common sense. Take HBO content, add a couple dollars on top of it. You have a huge subscriber base of HBO subscribers already. Hey, pay us $2, maybe $3 more a month. Get all this other content. That makes, to me, it makes perfect sense. Take all that Time Warner back catalog that they're not using, they're not doing anything with. Why not put it on HBO Max?
I agree.
The thing that I question is the live TV aspect. Again, it goes back to the concept. You have DirecTV now. You have AT&T TV confirmed now. You have AT&T Watch TV, and now you have HBO with live TV. You have 4 different live TV streaming services here. It's very interesting. I will go back to, it does sound like DirecTV Now will be merged into something. And from according to CNBC, it's likely to be HBO Max. So I don't know. What if you had to make a prediction? Is DirecTV Now more likely? Some people have been pushing the idea that that's going to be merged into AT&T TV, or do you think it's going to go into HBO Max as CNBC reported, Jess?
I could see it going either way. I think if it were me making the decision, I would put DirecTV Now with AT&T TV. Still hate that name, still having a hard time saying it. And then I would make HBO Max its own thing where it was more premium content. I feel like then AT&T TV would be the one where that would be their main focus. It would be sort of a Hulu-like situation where they have the on-demand content, they have the live TV. And then HBO Max would be the HBO fans. That's where you go for your premium content, for your Time Warner shows that you want to watch. I think that they would have a really good catalog, and I think that people would like it, but I don't think that's going to be anyone's main streaming service.
That's the issue you got here. Is HBO Max at that price point? It's a premium service compared to all the other ones.
Right.
Even with the HBO content, is that going to be enough for people to justify it? Adding in some live TV content, adding a higher tier with live TV, that could really help drive that mass subscriber base there. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
I just wish that they would pick one and focus on it and make that their main streaming service, and then the others, fine, have them out there floating around, but choose one, make it your main focus.
I'm with you on this. I think AT&T would have a much better success if they could say, we're going to take all of our live TV services, bundle them together, have different tiers, but we got AT&T TV that's got AT&T TV on demand, it's got AT&T TV Live, etc. Whatever it is, I do think there's an argument to maybe get it down to like 2 or 3 of these services. Because we're not even talking about like VRV and all the other streaming services like Crunchyroll that AT&T owns that are on demand. So anything you want to add here?
I just want to say, whenever they all finally do come out, whenever we get a chance to use them, we can see what they're all about, we will make a post saying, here's the difference between all 27 of these streaming services to help you choose which one is right for you.
We probably should look up how many different streaming services AT&T owns right now or is part owner of. That would probably be an interesting look.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they have announced again that in October they're going to be making some more announcements about HBO Max, excuse me. Not necessarily AT&T TV, they said HBO Max. So maybe we'll learn more soon.
Hopefully.
All right, Jess, why don't we head into the next story?
Yeah, so we will move away from AT&T now, and we'll talk a little bit more about Dish. So it looks like Dish has reached a deal to buy Boost Mobile. And this is a huge deal and something that we've been talking about for a while, because this would make Dish the 4th major wireless carrier in the US. So we need to clarify up front in the beginning, this would be after the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. So after that happens, then Dish could come in, buy this. They would be paying a total of, this is crazy, $5 billion for all of the wireless assets. That number, I had to read it like 3 times just to make sure I was seeing it right. $5 billion. So some interesting little facts about this is that the agreement would allow T-Mobile to sell services under the Dish brand for the next 7 years. So if you're already using T-Mobile, if you like working with the company, it'll still be around. They'll just be selling under the Dish brand for the next 7 years. There's also a 3-year agreement for T-Mobile to offer support while customers are in the middle of making that shift over to the new company. All of the companies right now are saying no comment. They just are not spilling any details about any of this. But the merger is expected to close this week, according to a couple of sources I found. So we should know more pretty soon.
Yeah, a couple notes here. T-Mobile's not going away. You're not going to be forced to leave T-Mobile. Now, Boost, if you're a Boost customer, which I do understand is owned by Sprint, I get the comments. Like we said in the story, this is part of a bigger deal to get the T-Mobile Sprint merger approved. You would probably just wake up and find yourself under a new ownership of Dish. But your network will stay the same, your phone plans will stay the same, all this will stay the same. I actually think this is a great move by Dish. I think that Dish is trying to diversify. We talked about that earlier. Dish has been one of the companies very early to say, hey, cord cutting is really eating into our core business. Our core business of TV is still very important to us. But the future of TV is not necessarily with satellites, not necessarily with cable. How can we diversify a company so we're not the one holding the bag when this whole thing falls apart?
Absolutely.
So they've definitely done some creative things. Cord cutting, they were the first to really make a successful live TV streaming service in the United States. Sling TV broke that glass window, and everybody kind of followed them through after that happened. So it's very interesting to see what Dish is doing here. A few other notes. It was reported that Amazon had been looking at being this player. They were bidding on it, but it sounded like Amazon very quickly backed out when they saw the price.
Yes.
Apparently, they weren't willing to pay $5 billion. And Spectrum.
So much money.
Yeah, Spectrum after this deal was announced kind of said, "Hey, we tried to buy this from T-Mobile, and the DOJ never got back to us about it." So it looked like Dish wasn't the only one interested. I bet there were some others that we may not know about bidding on this, or at least started the process to research the possibility. But it sounds like, according to all reports, Dish was the company that won, and Dish is going to be the new 4th largest phone company in the United States. Now they're going to be well back. They're going to be way behind T-Mobile and Sprint merger, way behind AT&T, and way behind Verizon. But this makes T-Mobile a more realistic competitor to Sprint and Verizon. At the same time, maintains that 4th place competitor out there to hopefully be disruptive in general. So I honestly think this is a win-win-win all the ways around.
Yeah, it was interesting too. I've been doing a lot of research about this just last night and this morning, getting ready for this podcast. And a lot of the sources that I was reading were just saying this is a really good opportunity for them to come in with a lower price point, a more competitive package, and really shake things up a little bit. And I think that's something that's really needed.
Sprint and T-Mobile are offering Netflix and Hulu.
Yeah.
AT&T's offering like 20 different streaming options. Dish could offer, hey, get a bundle, right? Get your cell phone plan from us and get Sling TV. Well,
sure.
Yeah, why not have a bundle plan there? I think that would be horribly effective marketing right there. Even if it was like, hey, get $5 off your phone bill if you also get Sling TV from us or something. Huge, very huge for them. So the question to everybody I have, would you get a Dish phone? Would you be happy with Dish as your phone company provider? Now, Dish would not be exclusively relying on the T-Mobile spectrum. They probably would at the beginning, but Dish actually owns a huge collection of spectrum that they were already using to build out a 5G network, with the plans of launching that next year as an Internet of Things type network. I'm sure that this may be changing some of their plans going forward, but yeah, Dish is no stranger to the idea of wireless phone providing.
So whenever you say using a Dish phone, I just picture in my head a little dish antenna sticking out of the back of the phone. And it just made me think this is a great opportunity for their marketing department to make some little pop sockets that have a little antenna sticking out of the back of your phone. Just a thought, Dish. If you need me to come in and design some products for you, I've got you.
There you go. All right, let's keep moving on to the next story. And to everybody who's leaving comments, a little different than the Q&A we do. We're just doing the podcast today live. So feel free to chat about the stories, and we may pick up one or the 2 questions at the end to try to answer related to the stories we're covering today. So is it your turn or my turn to read the next story?
You are up for the Roku story.
All right. Here's something that broke yesterday, again reported by Bloomberg, who also reported the Dish story. Roku is reportedly working on developing a Wi-Fi extender called the Roku Relay. This will basically be a wall outlet that you'll plug into your wall, and it will connect to your existing Wi-Fi network and then rebroadcast it to help fill in weak areas. Now, the idea of a Wi-Fi extender is nothing new. The problem is they've always been kind of subpar, never really worked as well as it could be. So that now Roku is saying, hey, we can make a decent Wi-Fi extender here that we can now go and use to improve streaming on Rokus. I'm sure it'll be very well tuned to stream on your Roku. It may even not be a full Wi-Fi extender for everything. It may be very specific to your Roku devices, which will be kind of cool. The number one reason when I talk to people who are complaining about buffering, more often than not, it comes down to the fact that they have a weak Wi-Fi signal. You can have high internet speed, a gigabyte, but if you're only getting 1, maybe 2 bars of Wi-Fi, you're not getting that full speed experience there. So this could fix that. One last note on it. Bloomberg did report that Roku, while they're very far along in the development of this, has not necessarily decided to launch this device, which you're probably saying, Luke, why wouldn't they? This is actually pretty common. A lot of companies develop products, see if they can make it happen. Does it meet expectations? Does it really do what we want it to do? And do we think there's still a market for this? So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this going forward. What do you think, Jess? Would you buy this?
I absolutely would. I actually was really excited about this because my apartment is really long. So the only place for me to plug in my router is over on one end of the apartment, and then there's a huge long hallway on the other end. My bedroom is down at the end of that hallway, and I do have some buffering issues because of a weaker Wi-Fi signal. So yeah, I would love to have something in my bedroom so that I can use my laptop. I can watch my Roku TV in there. I think this is great. I would definitely use it. So I hope that they do decide to bring it to market after they're done with product development.
Yeah, when my old home, my office was in the room over the garage, way in one corner. Now I wanted the Wi-Fi router and modem there because I wanted to hardwire everything in the office, which meant our living room, which was on the complete opposite side of the house on the first floor, not the second floor, got weak Wi-Fi. Now, of course, whenever possible, the best thing to do is to put your Wi-Fi router in the center of your home. Keep that in mind. But I understand that's not always possible for people.
Yeah, this is a really good option. And I think even just having the Roku name on it, that might seem a little silly. But I think that Roku is a brand that people really trust and they know and they feel comfortable with. So I think that having a product like this would be perfect.
Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of hope they bring it to market. I hope that they try it. Just because it's been recorded, just because it's probably a physical device right now, doesn't mean it will always launch. If you remember, there was reports that AT&T was working on a streaming player for DirecTV Now that would have connected to their 4G network. It would be a device that would allow you to watch TV, not over your home internet, but over AT&T's wireless network. All reports are now that that device didn't come to anything, and this device could be the same way. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, we will see.
All right, why don't we move on to the next story?
All right, so we need to have a talk again about local channels. This has been an ongoing conversation again, but now we have a little more information about it, and things might make a little more sense to some of our readers and listeners. So we found out that Nexstar was pushing AT&T for a 100% increase in fees for local channels. So this has been something that, again, we've been talking about for a while. I know a lot of you listening in to this podcast and a lot of you that have been reading the blog have been affected by this because we have gotten a ton of Facebook messages, a ton of emails, a ton of comments on videos. We hear you. We know it's frustrating. We're right there with you. But now we kind of know why it's been happening. So the AT&T CEO, Randall Stephenson, made a comment saying basically that CBS has kind of been silent during all of this. And he made some comment about, like, I know they've been busy with other things. However, we would really like to hear from them about how we can get CBS to come back. Nexstar, meanwhile, was upfront asking for a 100% increase in fees, which is just kind of outrageous. So he was basically saying, Randall Stevenson from AT&T was basically saying it's going to be a while before these come back. It's going to be a while before we have any kind of update because it's just been so difficult for everybody to come to an agreement about this. So that said, we do have a blog post up about how to watch CBS during this blackout. And a couple of the solutions were just like other live TV streaming services like Hulu, like YouTube, that have some of those channels available. And then also just using an antenna, if that's an option for you. We know it's not an option for everybody, but if an antenna works in your home, apartment, wherever, that's another great option to get these channels for free.
Yeah, definitely. There's many great options out there for getting CBS, right? You got CBS All Access, which reportedly is getting a big spike in subscribers out there that now that CBS is off of DirecTV Now and in many major markets, CBS. So keep that in mind. The interesting thing I find here is the 100% price increase, which apparently has been talked down to 50%, and still they don't have a deal. According to AT&T, they're basically saying, hey, or AT&T's CEO during the earnings call yesterday, hey, Nexstar and AT&T are nowhere near being ready for a new deal to be struck. It sounds like CBS and AT&T are much closer to a deal, even though that's a much newer deal than blackout than the one with Nexstar. But this is kind of the warning. You know, it's kind of one of those things we all like to hate on AT&T, right? I get it. AT&T does weird things. AT&T goes out of their way to act very weird, to do weird things, just to be honest. But the truth is here, this is kind of one of those things I can kind of see what AT&T is doing here. I understand that they're like, hey, we're not paying you a 100% price hike on your channels. So that's kind of actually a good thing for us, the customers. Locals right now cost about $12 a channel, or $12 for all the locals, excuse me. And it's reported that'll be up to $16 soon. And if AT&T and Dish and others just keep accepting these price hikes, it will be probably $20 of your bill pretty soon. That's why Sling TV can be $25, where everybody else is around $40, $50. I don't know. One other option Craig did bring up is if you happen to live in one of the few markets where Locast is supported, Locast is another great option. Locast streams locals for free. It will bug you for a donation. The downside to Locast is you have to actually live in one of the markets that's offered, which is one of the holdups there.
People are always asking about Locast too, if it's coming to their city. So I'm always posting the link in the chats. But if you go to the Locast website, you can actually see where you can vote for your city to be one of the next cities. So if you want to do that, or you just want to check out where they are expanding to, you can do that on the Locast website.
All right, so let's keep moving along, but we'll keep a close eye on this. There's other blackouts in the warning. 2019's actually been the year with the most blackouts ever so far this year. So it's going to be interesting to see where blackouts go. It'll be interesting to see how long Nexstar can stay dark. It'll be interesting to see how long CBS holds out too. So we're keeping very close eyes on this. Keep an eye over at corecarsnews.com. All right, last story up of the day, and it is Sling TV adds over 300 free shows and movies even if you're not a subscriber. Sling TV yesterday quietly rolled out the FilmRise channel on Sling TV. This adds 300 movies and TV shows, including popular shows like Third Rock from the Sun, which I think I actually called 30 Rock today for some reason.
Different show.
And thank you to everybody who pointed that out. But Third Rock from the Sun, Kitchen Nightmares, and more are all streaming for free on Sling TV. If you're not a subscriber, if you have Roku, you can go to the Sling TV app, say view as a guest, and watch this content there also, along with things like managed subscriptions to Curiosity Stream and other places. It really seems that Sling TV is like, hey, we want to diversify our app. We want something that will bring people here that are not subscribers by offering free content, so hopefully they become subscribers. And also, this is one more way to add free content. I saw a lot of people say, hey, I can get FilmRise content through the FilmRise app on my device. Why watch it through Sling? I think that goes back to the argument of, hey, we want to have one app that does everything. I don't want 15 different apps. We're kind of moving in that direction as cord cutters, but we're very far away from it becoming reality. But as of today, this is another step. This is the kind of things that happens. Like, hey, yeah, it's free other places, but if you happen to be a Sling TV customer, it's all in one spot, which I love. I love that idea. Well, what do you think of Sling TV's moves?
I think it's great. I really, really like FilmRise. We were actually just talking about it in the live Q&A last night in the chat. I think you read a couple of the comments aloud. We were talking about FilmRise and just how many different channels and things they have. They seem to have a channel for like every genre that you could imagine, and it's free and it's great. And they just really have some good content, and they have some really hard to find titles. And I think people really like it. So I think this was a great move by Sling, and I love that they're making it free to non-subscribers. I think that was a really cool move.
Definitely. The battle for your live TV subscriber bill is heating up. You got AT&T TV coming out. You got T-Mobile TV if that ever becomes a reality. Vidgo has announced that they're coming out later next month, or I think they said the next few weeks actually, which I'm assuming means next month now. So I think it's very interesting to see where this is all going. That, hey, okay, just offering ESPN may not be enough to always make you stand out. What else could we do to make us stand out? And I think Dish has always been one of the more aggressives on this. How long until YouTube or Hulu or whatever starts trying to say, hey, there's a reason to get our live TV service over YouTube TV, over PlayStation View, over XYZ, whatever it may be. So I'm interested to see. I think the battle of live TV services is what added value can we offer? What other things can we bring to people to offer added value to them?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that was a very smart move on their part, because we are getting to a point where like the industry is getting a little saturated. And so you've got all these streaming services to choose from. They're all offering very similar channels. So what can you do that's going to set you apart? And I think that this bit of free content was a really, really smart move. So good job. Good job, Sling.
Anything else we want to add to the story?
That's all I've got. I do have a couple of questions if we want to jump into those.
Yeah, real quick. Actually, let's give our recommendations for what to watch. But for everybody who's watching us live, it's great to have you. We're testing out doing the podcast live. This is not a cord-cutting Q&A. But we are going to take some questions at the end here. So if you have a question about cord cutting, or you have a question about one of the stories we asked, leave a comment real quick in the chat on our YouTube. And join us, if you're listening to this on repeat, join us next week, Thursday, at noon Eastern, to have maybe your question answered, or just join us live as we talk about cord cutting and read your chats as we go along. But just to be clear, it's not the cord cutting Q&A. That's Wednesday nights. Let's dive into what we're going to watch, and then we'll answer questions here. So Jess, you want to start off with what you're suggesting people watch?
Sure. So we posted a story just yesterday that Showtime is offering 3 free series premieres to anyone. You don't have to be subscribed to Showtime. Anyone can go to the website or go to their YouTube page and watch the series premiere of 3 shows that are all Emmy nominated. So my recommendation is to try that out, because the shows are really good. I've watched 2 of them so far. I watched Who is America with Sacha Baron Cohen, which was hilarious but very political, just a warning to anyone who might be wanting to watch it. And I also watched the premiere of Black Monday, which was also hilarious and well worth watching, especially for free on Showtime.
That got me when HBO did that. They put the first episode of Silicon Valley on YouTube. And my wife we watched it. We loved it. We subscribed to HBO. So I think Epix is doing that a little bit too, where they're giving away a couple free episodes of some of the original content. Be like, hey, test us out for free. If you like it, subscribe. So I hope more people do that. Mm-hmm. My recommendation is twofold. Orange is the New Black starts tomorrow. The final season hits tomorrow, so check that out. And if you're itching for football, I just finished. I know I announced that we were going to watch it, but I already finished the entire season of Last Chance U. Raced right through that. Probably the first season's still my favorite, Last Chance U, but this season has to be my second favorite, but it's very close. Very, very interesting look into college football from the back end of it, from what the players experience. because it's different than probably what most people think it is, to be honest with you. So highly recommend it. If you like Orange is the New Black, check that out, coming out tomorrow. And if you like football and you just can't wait until next week when the NFL preseason starts, go check out Last Chance U. So let's dive into a few questions. Jess, you want to pick out a question first from either the chat or one you wrote down?
So the first question is from the username Comedy Night Central. What is the best set-top box for local TV channels?
That is really a tough one because how are you getting them? If you're getting them through an antenna, just plug it into your TV. It's really great. If you want a DVR, though, look into like the Fire TV Recast if you have Fire TVs, Tableau DVRs, the Channel Master, and it's kind of expensive, but it's a good DVR, the TiVo for antennas. So just make sure you buy the one that's for antennas, not for cable cards. But you can always get like a Roku TV. You can plug in your TV. Those are my recommendations to get locals. And the great thing about many of those ones, like the Fire TV Recast and more, is it will stream it out to your streaming player. Just make sure you research that that device is compatible with the streaming player you have. That would be my main recommendation.
All right, we have another question from Craig who wants to know, is the $25 Sling TV package worth me canceling YouTube TV?
If it offers the channels you want, definitely. If you have an antenna, they give you the channels you want there. And if you have a Sling TV offering you the other channels, yeah, why not? You know, that has a free trial. I recommend you take advantage of the free trial to see if it's right for you.
All right, and then we have one more from earlier. It was more of a comment, but we're going to kind of turn it into a question. Why do we think that PS View customers have nothing but positive things to say about the service while the company is treating it as an afterthought? That is a very interesting question.
Big company. I don't think they've ever given PlayStation View the attention it deserves, to be honest with you, though it definitely got more attention earlier than it gets now. I think the issue is subscriber numbers are not where they want. I know a lot of people don't like looking at downloads. I hear you that downloads isn't how you prefer to track success, but when Sony's not releasing numbers, it is a data point we can look at. According to UBS, which is a well-respected research firm with a long history of getting some of this stuff very right, PlayStation View's share of the download market of live TV streaming services was just 3%. Compare that to YouTube TV at 40%. Yeah, and you know, it seems that they're not growing like the competitors. I put that mainly on marketing, and I put that primarily, I should say, first on the name. Jess, you probably heard this too. I hear all the time, I'll love to get PlayStation View, but I don't have a PlayStation.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah,
worst name.
Change the name, do a little bit better marketing, probably add 100,000 subscribers before they knew what happened.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what do you think they should do to set themselves apart? So we know that, Sling is adding these free Filmrise channels and TV shows, or movies and TV shows, sorry. So what do you think that PlayStation View should do other than change the name?
Overnight, change the name and get a little bit more aggressive in the marketing, and they would have new subscribers overnight. Honestly, I know people say Luke hates PlayStation View. I don't like the name. I think it's a great service. I think that Sony is not giving it the attention it deserves, and I think that Sony has a major mistake with the name. I just do. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers that question. I don't know. Any other questions we want to take real quick?
We have one more asking, what exactly is the Sling TV Air Mini?
The Air TV Mini, and I just posted a review of it yesterday on YouTube, so if you click on our channel, we have a full video. It's an Android TV powered streaming player built to launch directly into Sling TV to integrate things into Sling TV and offer more of a cable-esque experience with your streaming of Sling TV. So that's what Sling TV is. If you want a full review, just click on the Core Cars News name on YouTube. Look at the recent videos. The video from yesterday is a full review of it.
All right, I think that's it.
All right, everybody, I hope you have a fantastic week. Let us know. Leave us a comment what you think of the live format here. Just kind of playing around with it. I think some people are a little confused thinking we were doing a Q&A. But we're going to be back next week, Wednesday, for the Q&A at 8 p.m. Eastern. And planning on us back here next week, Thursday at noon, for our live cord cutting Q&A. or Q&A. I just did it. I did it. It's right there. Cord Cutting This Week podcast. So check that out tomorrow. If you have any questions, go to facebook.com, search for our Cord Cutting Tech Support group. We have a group there of about 55,000 some members who are going to do our best to answer your cord cutting related questions. So check that out. So I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Thank you for your support. Don't forget, we also have the MP3. It will be posted later today. I really do appreciate your support. Check back. We'll be right here for more cord cutting news, tips, tricks, and reviews. Thanks, everybody.